Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you by the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire, and by Tri-State Megabucks and the New Hampshire State Lottery, helping New Hampshire schools one ticket at a time. WNDS Sports presents New England's favorite bowling show. From Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Featuring the best bowlers from around the region. Candlepin Stars and Strikes. And now your hosts, Dick Lutz and Mike Morin.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. Week 3 of our third ladder series, and we have seen some spectacular bowling thus far.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be all Mark Gregory all the time, but Gary Carrington had something to say about that last week and kind of snuck up and backdoored him right at the very end.
Came from behind to win his match by 5 pins, moving up the ladder to take on second seed Bill Treeful this week. Let's meet our bowlers in this, the semifinal of the ladder series. Our third seed, last week's winner by a score of 391 to 386 over Mark Gregory. From Plastow, New Hampshire, let's welcome back Gary Carrington.
A very familiar face, averaging 133. High single 196, high triple is 499. He bowls at Park Place and all part of the Traveling Pro League out of St. Joe's and Haverhill on Fridays.
And a 637 in the roll-off, earning him the number 3 seed. He has the number 2 seed as his opponent this week from Franklin, Massachusetts. Let's say hello to Bill Treeful.
Been a couple of years. Good to have the Chief back once again. Bowling out of a couple leagues, averaging 126 and 134. His high single is 193. Best triple, 492. Bowling also at Park Place and the Traveling League as well.
2 television veterans ready to go at it this afternoon, Gary Carrington and Bill Treeful, when we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV.
Well, we began with 5 and we're down to 3 in our third ladder series of the season. First week, Mark Gregory defeated Paul Barassa, and last week Gary Carrington ousting Mark Gregory, setting up this week's match with Gary Carrington and Bill Treeful here at Leda Lanes, with Craig Holbrook waiting in the wings to take on the winner of this match for the ladder championship. There you get a good look at Gary Babe Carrington, who'll bowl first here this afternoon. And he starts off with a 9-pin drop, almost a strike. Gary fell behind last week to Mark Gregory. Gregory had a 169 in the first string. Gary had a 140. So he was behind 29 pins right off the bat, but that 140 really kept him in the match, because a 169 by Gregory and under other conditions could have really opened up a greater gap, but it did not. So Gary starts off with a spare. Another good first ball. Gary from Plastow. He's been bowling for over 35 years. Bowls out of Park Place in Wyndham, St. Joe's and Haverhill. Picks up the spare, just barely, but still a spare. And the 47-year-old Gary Carrington has marked in his first 2 boxes. And now we get a look at the veteran Bill Treeful, 56 years old, from Franklin, Massachusetts, the retired police chief. Lay brother at Mount St. Mary's Abbey in Rentham, where he manages the farm. And his first ball is off the head pin. Bill with a 126, 134 average.
126, Dick, is on the Traveling League, and in Park Place, where he bowls the same place every week, it's 134. And when you take a look at Bill, you can see that he is very fit, very trim, and you can tell that he's got a really tough physical job that keeps him in great shape for a man of any age, let alone 56.
Not going to make it there. Settles for a 9 box. Well, if he manages the farm, he must eat farm fresh produce, I would imagine.
I would imagine he does. Just look at the condition this man is in.
Very slender, very fit, and a strike. I was going to say his trim physique reminds me an awful lot of me.
Oh, really?
That took you long. That took a while for you to register.
I couldn't process the information. Something just didn't seem right about that. But if that's what you think, I'll go along with it.
Here's the strike. You saw it again.
Ooh.
Gary let that one slip away.
Oh.
Just puts 1 in the mark. very rare. Do you see something like that? A ball get away from Gary Carrington. A good second ball. Gary has two sons who have both been junior state bowling champions. Matt, 21, a senior at UNH. Mike, 16, a 10th grader at Timberlane. This will be the 9 box. And the championships, to his credit, too numerous to mention. There are just so many of them. He's been on television over 85 times over the years on this show and others. Here's a good first ball. 9-pin drop. The 4-pin still stands.
He was one of 3 bowlers that tied for, well, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, but because he had the highest single in the final 5-game roll-off at 175, he got 3rd seeding.
Get some of your cards and letters during the course of the match and encourage you to write to us. You can email us at bowling@WNDS.com. We would love to hear from you wherever you may be watching Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Bill Treeful on the strike. Ooh, looking for number 2. Not going to get it. 9-pin drop. We gave away $700 a couple of weeks ago to Mark Gregory, who hit the triple strike jackpot in our first match of this series. There's Bill Treeful with the spare. And we are looking to give away $50 for 3 marks in a row to Bill Treeful right now, if he can do that. Off the head pin, just 3 in the mark. It's been a while since we've seen Bill on TV. Last time on TV, the number 2 seed. He defeated Ed Woodside, then was beaten by Chris Bovair in the ladder championship match back in November of 2002. Look at this mess. Trying to get as much as he can. That's going to be a 5 box for Bill Treeful. So both bowlers have had soft fills in marks. Gary Carrington had a 1 in a spare. Bill Treeful a 3 in a spare and a 5 box. Gary Carrington on lane 34. Missed the head pin. The 1-3-7. Put 7 in the spare for Gary. He will be open in the 5th frame.
Won his 9th Pro Tour title back in November of this year, about a month or so ago.
9 box.
Two weeks away from mixed doubles, we'll have the championship match next week featuring one of these 2 bowlers and Craig Holbrook. We'll take a month off and let the men and women team up in doubles format. That'll run through December and part of January, and then we'll return to the regular men's ladder series again in January. Tournament of Champions coming up in the spring after a total of 6 ladders have been bowled.
Watching this program for the first time on the 5th of December. I'm sure that your radio station WZID has a lot going on for the holiday season, Mike, with New Hampshire in the morning and 95.7 WZID and the holidays coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we just completed the WZID Christmases for Kids auction just Thursday and Friday with great success for Child and Family Services. Our old-fashioned Christmas radio show will be live at the Palace Theater on Friday the 10th. Everybody's welcome. It goes from 6 to 10. It's free, live entertainment all morning. So it's going to be a very busy December. As a matter of fact, I'll be performing with the Boston Pops on Saturday the 11th, doing a reading.
Or the oboe?
No, but I'll be up there reading a little passage to the boys and girls in front of a packed Verizon Wireless Arena with Keith Lockhart.
Love to see you with a violin. 9 box for Bill. Another soft fill in the mark, though. Marks in the string, just 70 through 6. Gary looks to break up the split, does that, puts 6 in the mark.
That's a tough spare, though, with the sleeper 5-pin behind the 1, the 3, and the 6.
All right, brother, stick, baby. Nice check, baby. Nice check,
And a
buddy.
10 box.
Yeah, baby.
Gary was off to a big start last week with 140, then kind of fell back to 101.
Right.
Then had a big finish of 151 to just kind of sneak on by Mark Gregory, who the week before had a 450 triple, including a 183 game. So it was a disappointing finish for Mark Gregory, who had done so well for about 5.5 out of his 6 strings over 2 weeks.
Gary almost made the spare on a very difficult shot. Neither bowler has really found the range. Even though Gary Carrington has 4 marks in the string, Bill Treeful 3, you just don't get the sense that either one is really heated up. 10 box for Gary. He's at 100 through 8. If you look at Bill Treeful's line, he's got a 3 and a spare, a 5 box, another spare with a 4 in it, and there's a quarter Worcester.
It only takes one now. Only takes
one pin picked out of the pack.
No matter what, you're always able to work the word Worcester into just about every string every week.
And he almost made the spare. I can't recall. Have I ever told you that I was from Worcester?
No kidding.
Never mentioned that, have I?
I thought you were from Royalston.
There's a 10 box. Worcester, of course, the home of Candlepin bowling.
Now. Throw that ball first.
At one time, the hotbed of Candlepin bowling. I don't know that there was any other city that had so many Candlepin bowling alleys at one time. And he breaks up the split 9-pin drop, looking for a mark. I don't know, we counted in the past how many different lanes. I think there were 25, 26, 27 or something like that in the city at one time.
You kind of wonder how things change, you know, along the same lines. You have the Palace Theater in Manchester, not related to bowling, but it's a beautiful grand dome of performances.
Nice spare by Bill Treeful.
At one time, there were roughly 20 theaters similar to the Palace, and now there's just one left. So how did things change that much?
Well, probably they didn't have television, number one. They didn't have as many different options for entertainment. The entertainment dollar, the entertainment hour was spent differently.
Sure. And the same could be applied to bowling. Sure. A lot more competition and options these days, clamoring for your attention.
Right away, baby.
Well, that's
The
nicely set up,
5-7,
Dick.
the wood is good.
The wood is almost perfect.
He's
Although it's
got to put the ball there. That's the
tough
key.
to tell, though, Dick, if the pin is in front of the 5. I think it was a little bit behind.
Gary did not hit the pin where he wanted to. He capped it instead of hitting it on the right side. So he'll be open in the 9th with another 10 box. 110. Gary comes in with an average of 133 and a high single of 196, a high triple 499. What was someone telling us that Mark Gregory had a 500 triple if you take the last string from one match and the first 2 strings of the next
yes,
it was over 500
for the 2 weeks back to back. Yes, I didn't do the math, but
I'll do it right here. 183, a 149, and a 169. What's that?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Carrington with a spare.
183 was Mark Gregory's best ever television effort. But it didn't get him to the finals, which are next week against Craig Holbrook.
Seven in the spare and a 127 first string. Yep, 501. 183, 149, and 169. 2 strings for one match in the first string of the next match. 501 for Mark Gregory.
Mix it down here,
Pretty remarkable.
167 average for 3 games.
Bill Treeful puts 7 in his spare. And makes another spare.
Oh, man.
Never a doubt in my mind.
Now you finish.
Where did that pin come from to take out the 7?
Off the right side wall. It just jumped off the wall.
Let's take
Watch
a
it
look here.
again. Bill Treeful again on the spare, puts just 4 in the mark. He's had horrible fills.
Come on. We'll make another one.
He will not make the spare this time around. So he will trail after 1.
Less than a mark difference between these two bowlers.
5 marks in the first string for Bill Treeful in the 10 box, and a 121 first string. A 6-pin lead for Gary Carrington over Bill Treeful after 1. It's Carrington 127, Treeful 121. The second string is coming up after this break as you watch Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV from Leda Lanes in Nashville, New Hampshire. Bill Treeful will bowl first to start the second string at Leda Lanes in Nashville. He trails Gary Carrington by 6 pins after the first string. Crossing over to the Brooklyn side.
I think he liked that ball when he threw it. Just never had quite enough to take out the 6 and the 9. Piece of wood between both pins.
And missed the object pin. Bill was a member of the World Championship teams in '89 and '94. Won 7 state titles in New Hampshire, including doubles with Sean Baker in '99, 2000, 2004, and 4 team state titles. So a lot of first-class bowling for Bill Treeful. A little too full on the head pin, trying to break up that split. The 2-pin on the left has wood out in front of it. And let's see what happens. The 10-pin, too much wood to block it out. Will it go? Yes, it will. Another one of those line drives. Didn't think it was going to get there, but it just had enough to knock off the 10-pin. Gary Carrington from Plastow. Good look at the intensity that Gary has. And another first ball that he's thrown away. He's thrown a couple away.
Well, despite that, still one of the best that ever played the game. There's no question about it. Certainly this generation's top 2 or 3 bowlers.
Very out of character to see Gary Carrington do that. And that's kind of what you'd expect.
Nice pitch, buddy.
To see him come right back with a pocket shot. And that will be a 9 box.
Knock back, baby.
Got a nice belated Halloween card here from Mary Bartone of Canton, Massachusetts, with a note that says both keep on smiling. We'll keep on smiling. Thank you very much for the nice card. Mary Bartone from Canton, Massachusetts. Always sending us seasonal cards is Mary.
All right, grab a couple, babe.
We'd love to hear from you, and our mailing address is Candlepin Stars and Strikes, 50 Television Place, Derry, New Hampshire, 03038. Bill Treeful working on a mark.
You mentioned all the state championship titles that Bill Treeful has, both in team and in doubles with Sean Baker. His team last year consisted of his opponent today, Gary Carrington, Dave Cookie Richards, Sean Baker, his doubles partner, and Chris Sargent. Is that a stacked team or what? Carrington, Richards, Baker, Treeful, and Sargent. That is a team. By the way, we'd like to pass along our condolences to Dave Richards and his family. His grandmother, who was such a huge fan of not only his bowling, but our program, passed away just about a month ago or so as you watch this.
Take advantage of that now. Go get it.
Bill continues to have a problem putting decent counts in his marks. Put a 4 in that last spare. Just missed a spare opportunity right there. And we'll settle for a 9 box. Gary Carrington to lane 34. Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV, presented by Tri-State Megabucks. And the other games of the New Hampshire State Lottery Commission. by McMulkin Chevrolet, Nashua Mitsubishi, Nashua Hyundai, Nashua Cadillac, all part of the Thompson family of dealerships in Nashua, New Hampshire. They make it possible for you to watch the finest Candlepin bowlers in the world each week right here on WNDS TV.
Well, that wood rolling over at the last second I don't think is as helpful as having the single piece of wood. Do you, Dick?
I think that this is a makeable shot. I think that the
it's
wood,
makeable. It's, I think, a little tougher.
I think the front wood knocks the back piece of wood into the pins in this case. I think it's a pretty fail-safe situation. There it is, yeah.
I play it there, David.
Hands to his head. Gary wasn't so sure, but it was a good clean shot.
Yeah. I think the way that back pin was angled, it was a can't-miss situation. Now Gary working on a spare. Looking for a good count. There we go. That's a good count. That's a 9-pin fall and a piece of wood in front of that 9-pin, which is still 8-pin, which is still standing. And that will be the spare. Back-to-back marks for Gary Carrington. We'll go to the break as we continue from Leda Lanes in Nashua. It's Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV. Bill Treeful moves up to lane 34.
There you go, Billy. There you go.
Gary Carrington has the lead in the match by 11 pins plus a ball. And Bill Treeful having a problem finding the head pin here for the moment.
Going off to the right, missing the head pin off to the right-hand side. Now he's got 6 to contend with.
Here's the head pin right there, and he almost converted the spare. The 7 pin still stands. And that will be a 10 box.
All right, Billy, come on, halftime. Let's go.
Bowlers are back from their trip to the Bangor Brewer area for the annual World Tournament. As you watch this, we haven't done another taping session, but we will this Tuesday. So we'll get the information from the bowlers, and in the next ladder during the mixed doubles, we'll give you all the information on how the teams did that you may be interested in. And yes, do please join us for the next taping. If you're watching this on Sunday the 5th, we begin at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. We'll do 4 one-hour shows, and we'd love to have you in the audience.
For the mixed doubles competition, which is always a lot of fun, as we get away from our regular ladder series format, ladder champion format, and give the ladies an opportunity to shine. Gary on the Brooklyn side.
Damn kind of baby.
The bucket's there.
You'd like that wood to move over
5,
a little closer.
6, 9.
Nice try, baby.
The 6 still stands. $10 box for Gary.
All right, baby. Out again. All right, get us going, buddy.
Gary moves over to 33. Another fine crowd on hand here at Leda Lanes. Gary with a 9-pin drop with a 10-pin drop. That will be a strike for Gary Carrington. So Gary leads now by 17 pins plus whatever he puts in his strike. Bill Treeful needs to start marking. Again, he missed the head pin.
Bill Treeful, the father of 3 boys, John 35, Mike 34, and Brian 32 years of age.
Oh, nice spare by Bill Treeful.
That's a
Well done shot. Crossed over to the Brooklyn side a little bit, trying to get as much of a count as he can. Is left with the 7-10 after all of that. You play the wood on the right and you just close your eyes and hope something bounces somewhere.
I do that every shot that I make, wood or not.
Here's the shot. It stays up in the alley and comes. Oh, it almost came across and took out the 7-pin. You have no clue what's going to happen when you throw a ball like that. You just hope for the best. That'll be a 9 box.
Yep. Well, Gary Carrington now works on a strike. He's up against a 7th frame Bill Treeful spare.
Haven't given away any bonus money yet this afternoon. We've given away a lot over the last couple of weeks. Mark Gregory broke the bank. Gary with an 8-pin fill plus another ball in his strike.
Talking about Bill Treeful's sons, Gary Carrington has a couple himself. Matt, 21 years old, senior this year at UNH Durham, hoping to become an English teacher.
Spare inside the strike for Gary Carrington. Now an opportunity for bonus money.
Don't want to forget his son Mike, 16 years old, 10th grader at Timberlane. Both boys have been junior state bowling champions. And I think I know where the genetics came from for that.
Well, Gary will have a 7-pin fill and an opportunity for $50 in bonus money. The 4, 7, 8 wood not a factor. Unless a piece of wood comes spinning out of the gutter after all is said and done. That's a possibility. Gary missed it. So he will be open in the 8th frame. And that'll be a 10 box. 110 for Gary. A 27-pin lead in the match. Bill Treeful looking to mark here in the 9th frame. A little thin on the head pin, but he got a good 8-pin drop and a spare opportunity here. The 4, 7, no wood. Missed it.
Tough break for the Chief. No, not Robert Parrish. This is the original Chief.
That'll be a 10 box. We'd like to have that one back. 99 through 9. Carrington had a 6-pin lead after 1. That's a spread eagle right through the middle. 2, 4, 7 on the left, 3, 6, 10 on the right.
We saw the spread eagle 2 weeks ago, I think, right? Converted in a most unconventional way.
Yeah, come on. Big check here.
And that'll be an 8 box. And a 107 second string for Bill Treeful. And the door is open for Gary Carrington to put some distance between the two bowlers heading into the 3rd string.
A runner-up today takes home a $550 paycheck, and the winner goes on to bowl for the championship against Craig Holbrook, who will be here next week.
Well, that's a familiar scene. That was a spread eagle plus 1. You got the 8-pin behind the 2.
Nice bid, baby. Nice bid.
Gary open in the 9th. A 9 box, 119. The 5, 9, 10. There is some wood out there. And that's what's going to have to be played. You spray the wood and see what happens here.
It's funny listening to all the armchair quarterbacks. No, you shoot it this way. No, you.
He's going to split the woods and see what happens. There it goes. Oh! I thought he was going to have it. That wood came back, but it was too far in front of the 10-pin to take it down.
We're so far from the pins, it's tough sometimes to get an exact consensus of how close the pins are together.
129 second string for Gary Carrington. A 28-pin lead for Carrington over Bill Treeful. We're headed for string number 3. When we come back to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes. You are watching WNDS TV. Gary Carrington will bowl first here in the 3rd string. He has a 28-pin lead over Gary Carrington, over Bill Treeful, rather. Headed to string number 3 from Leda Lanes in Nashua. Dick Lutz with Mike Morin. Our entire WNDS TV crew here. Half Worcester to start out. Kevin LaFawn's our director. Keith Webb is our engineer. Greg Amabella, Larry Haber, and Tanya Perry, our camera crew.
Nice bid, baby. Nice bid, baby.
Patrick McDougal's on replay, Eric Anger's on audio, Steve Kenny on graphics, and they all make it possible for you to watch the finest Candlepin boulders in the world each and every week on WNDS TV. That'll be a 10 box.
Nice. Light up, big guy.
New Hampshire State All Events winner 2000 and 2001, this gentleman right here, Gary Carrington, which should be of no surprise to you. He is one of the all-time title holders in terms of numbers. He's got 9 behind Tommy Olster, Peter Flynn, and Craig Holbrook, who he may face next week if he can beat the Chief today. Also has a 25 and 30 string records as compiled by the WCBC in their competition, and was the Pro Bowler of the Year in the 93-94 season.
That's 25 strings at one setting, one time.
Yeah.
Man, you must be dragging by the end of the day after
I would
25
think.
strings.
You know, I'm not really sure what the format was when that was done, and perhaps it was over a couple of sessions.
Bill Treeful with a strike to start out.
Now, he turned his back and walked away
He knew it was going down.
as if he knew it was going
He knew
down.
it was going down.
I wasn't quite as convinced.
I was. Yeah, he knew it was going down.
You're on the bandwagon. Come on.
No, I knew it. I could tell.
Look at that.
He could tell. Had enough of water. There they go, 2 in a row. Now that was a nice looking strike. The pins in the back falling down like dominoes. 2 strikes in a row for Bill Treeful to start out. And once again, we have a horse race.
And a shot at a $550 prize for that 3rd strike.
Gary Carrington trying to respond.
Bad, baby.
Missed the head pin, but he's got a makeable shot right here, the 1-2-7. With some wood off to the side that will help him, I believe, on a deflection. No, he didn't even need it.
It's out of bounds, big
Makes
guy.
the spare. So Gary responds to the double strike with a mark of his own. The ball took care of everything there. Gary on the spare, looks to make it 2 marks in a row. Puts 8 in the mark.
5-9 with some wood over to the right-hand side in front of the pins.
He's going right at it. There it is. 2 marks in a row. So how does Gary Carrington respond to a double strike by Bill Treeful? He puts 2 marks on the board of his own. Puts the pressure right back on Bill Treeful. $550 riding on this shot. He missed the head pin.
Consolation prize will give you $50 if you make the spare.
Don't give up on it.
Now, that tightened things up in a hurry.
Got to be up against a couple of marks now.
Yeah.
Treeful needs a good box here, and he's going to have a spare opportunity with the 3-5-10. And a piece of wood that's in a pretty good spot for him right now. Got a shot at it. There it is. We go to the break. We have ourselves a pretty good match heading down the home stretch. Bill Treeful trailing Gary Carrington. 6 boxes remain. Come back for them when we return to Leda Lanes in Nashua for Candlepin Stars and Strikes on WNDS TV.
Hi, Bill.
Gary Carrington has a 12-pin lead over Bill Treeful with 6 boxes remaining.
Well, essentially, Bill Treeful cut that margin in half that he was behind with that double strike. Gary Carrington could get some bonus money here.
12 pin certainly not insurmountable. Gary throws a pretty good first ball, and there they go. $50 shot for Gary Carrington right there. $50 shot right there, looking to add on to it. That's the first bonus money we've given away this afternoon. Looking for more. 5-pin stares back at him.
That looked pretty good. Could have been a double very easily. The 5-pin remains, and there's no wood, so it's a nice clean shot.
And he's got it covered. So Gary with 4 marks in a row puts the pressure on Bill Treeful to do the same. Bill needs to mark to stay 12 pins behind. Tough shot here for Bill Treeful.
He wants that wood desperately to roll back into play.
It's not going to. It falls off. That's a tough shot. The 3 and the 9.
Very difficult.
This is trying to make the half Worcester without the rest of the pins there.
Exactly.
Oh, he missed it.
That looked good, didn't it? You got to hit it head on perfectly. I bet the margin of error isn't a half an inch either way on that. Got it sure as easy to do, and you got a full rack of pins.
And a 9 box.
Well, he's back to about where he was now at the beginning of the game, wiping out the effects of that double strike, as Carrington is on a tear with 4 marks in a row.
Needs a good shot here, and he's got one. Great first ball by Bill Treeful, and a strike.
The Chief is not done yet, ladies and gentlemen.
And 25 pins separate these two bowlers. Treeful working on a strike, Carrington working on a spare. 4 boxes remain. The fills to the marks are important right here. Carrington, good first ball. There they go. That's 5 marks in a row for Gary Carrington. Another $25 in bonus money. He now has $100 in bonus money. It didn't look like it was going to be much, did it? No, on first glance. But they caved in. 5 marks in a row for the veteran Gary Carrington. That one's off the head pin. Still has another ball to fill the strike. 4 horsemen left side plus the 9 pin in the back row. No wood to help out. Put 8 in the strike. And that will be a 9 box. 125 for Gary Carrington through 8. Bill Treeful needs to mark. He's up against a strike and an open frame. He needs a double up here. He needs to put a couple of strikes together, win some bonus money, and take advantage of that open frame. There's a pretty good first ball, and look at what he has to show for it. Not much. The 3 and the 6 on the right, the 4 on the left. No wood to help out. A cut shot here. Watch out, watch out!
Trick shot artist.
Came right off the board and took it out. Great shot. Needs another mark. Good first ball right through the middle. 5 fill. Not good. Tough shot here. Spread eagle minus the 7 pin. Take the 2 on the left.
Well, if he gets 9 here, he's back to where he was at the beginning of this match, which was 28 pins behind.
And it's a 10 box. So it's a 27 pin advantage for Gary Carrington with 2 boxes remaining, and that's very difficult.
It's multiple strikes or nothing for Bill Treeful. That's his only option. Carrington's at least got 400. At 381 right now through 8 boxes.
Gary needs to be open in these final 2 frames, and Treeful needs to mark out. Well, Gary's got a tough shot here. He's at the 1-3-6 on the right-hand side, the 7 pin on the left, piece of wood floating in the back, rolling over toward the 7 pin, which is in a good position for him to help him out with the 7 pin. Missed it. So he will be open in the 9th. The door is ajar just a little bit, not a lot. And that will be a
Nice
10
10,
box.
Dave. Nice 10, buddy.
Every pin counts and matters. 135 for Gary Carrington.
Sitting at 391, which is what he had last week for the entire triple. So he should break 400, and with the mark, he'll be comfortably over that amount.
Well, a mark here would effectively close it out, wouldn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is pretty makeable. The 2, the 5, and the 7 were somewhat up against the 2.
Nope. Well, it's mathematically still alive, but
Yes.
realistically it's not. $10, 145, a 47-pin lead for Gary Carrington over Bill Treeful, with Treeful's 2 boxes to finish the match. So he needs 47 to tie, 48 to win. Needs a strike. Not going to get it that way.
Yeah, held on to it just a bit too long and never worked its way back to the head pin. He has to make this a triple strike. He can do it.
Nope.
That will do
That'll do it. Gary Carrington will win the match and advance to the championship next week to take on Craig Holbrook.
So between the two of them, have 20 titles in the WCBC.
We'll watch Bill's first ball, see if he throws the strike, he stays alive for a triple strike possibility, and then we'll go to the break as Gary Carrington will advance, and Bill Treeful is off the head pin. So Gary Carrington beats Bill Treeful. We'll come back to talk to our bowlers right after this from Leda Lanes in Nashua on WNDS TV's Candlepin Stars and Stripes.
There you see the final score of the match as Gary Carrington defeats Bill Treeful 401 to 373. 145s. They match the high string in the third string, and they'll split the $50 for having the high string. And Bill Treeful joins us here at Leda Lanes. We'll hand out some money first, $550, the runner-up money for finishing in second place to Gary Carrington, which isn't such a bad place to be. But I thought that the key, you said you had trouble warming up before we came on the air, and if they didn't warm up till the third string. But when you threw the double at the start of the third string, and then Gary came back and put 5 marks in a row, back to back to back to back, that's tough to overcome.
It is, and once I threw the double, I said, if Babe doesn't get 2 marks here, I can run the board. And he takes a fire out of you when he gets those 4 marks. You know, there's fair bowlers, there's good bowlers, and there's great bowlers. None is Babe. He's in a class of his own. Head-to-head competition, he's one of the top 3 I've ever bowled with.
You have an interesting job. At 56, you look to be in remarkable condition. Tell folks what it is exactly you do, how you spend your days.
I manage a farm at Mount St. Mary's Abbey. There's 400 acres in Franklin and 260 acres in Rentham. I take care of the livestock for them, bale about 18,000 bales of hay a year, and do all the rest of the grounds work that's required in the farm.
Do you have any spare time?
Yeah, exactly.
Go to Mass.
Hey, you had a heck of a state championship team this year, 2004. And so tell us a little bit about the team that you put together for that.
The state champion team or the team that's going north?
Well, of course, that happened a couple weeks ago as this is viewed, so we don't know how that turned out at this moment. But you had a great team to win the state last year.
Gary Carrington, Dave Richards, Sean Baker, myself, and Chris Sargent, and that's a team that you want to bowl on and not against. And that was my 4th state title on team, so it just tells you how strong that cast of characters are.
All right, well, keep up the good work. It's great to see you. Congratulations and come on back.
Bill Treeful, our runner-up here this afternoon. Thank you, Bill. Now let's go to the bonus ball contest. Michael will reach into the bin and pull out a card from someone at home, and you can be part of the action every week on our bonus ball contest. And this card comes from Yvonne McLean from Lawrence, Massachusetts. And, babe, she wants you to get a 7 for $30 in the bonus ball jackpot. Let's see if we can hand out $30 or the consolation prize from N&R Trophies in Winchendon, Massachusetts. Looks like it's going to be a 6, a consolation prize for Yvonne McLean of Lawrence, Massachusetts, and Gary Carrington will come between us now. Gary, you shared the high string, $25 in bonus money, another $100 in bonus money, so $125 in bonus money, plus the opportunity to move on to the championship match next week against Craig Holbrook. And again, he put a couple of strikes together on the board in the start of that third string, and in typical Babe Carrington fashion, you responded with a string of marks of your own.
Bill Treeful's a very tough opponent. He bowls good all the time. Every time I see him bowl, he bowls great. I like bowling against him. He makes me bowl good. He brings out good stuff, you know. It's good. I love Bill Treeful, all right?
Have you ever seen a man at 56 in as good a condition as this guy is?
Nah, he's got the best condition of any Candlepin bowler out there for sure. I wish, you know, I hope I can bowl as good as he can when I'm that age.
Well, I'll tell you what, a couple of chips off the old block. We always like to ask you about your boys, and they've been pretty good in the bowling world. Do either of them seem to have the drive or the interest to take it, you know, once they're out of school to the level you have?
Yeah, they both got a good... They like the game. They really like the game a lot. The younger one had a little temper tantrums, but...
Tell me you never did when you were his age.
No, I had him. You know, going through those. If he can straighten that out, you know, he'll be really good. The older one is going through college right now. He's doing great in college, and his bowling's doing well too. So
must make you proud to see him.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I didn't get to go to college. Matt goes to college. Good job from him.
Now, you had a couple of first balls that got away from you. You hit one-on-one first ball, I think, and then another one you threw. Talk about temper. Talk about you know, managing your emotions in situations like that. Was that at one time difficult for you, and have you overcome that?
Yes, I've definitely overcome something like that. 3 or 4 times I lost the ball today. You can't let that bother you. You just come back to the next box, the next ball, the next box, the next string. You know what you can do, you know? Because I like to drive this into my son, you know? Just come back to the next box. Forget about the bad stuff.
Gary, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you next week. Gary Carrington, our winner here this afternoon. Gary will move up the ladder and bowl for the championship.
That's right. Craig Holbrook will be here. Been a couple of years since we've seen him as well. He's won 11 titles. Gary has won 9, so these are 2 giants of the Candlepin world.
Gary Carrington and Craig Holbrook, the winner of that match, will move on to the Tournament of Champions.